Thank you very much, everyone. My name is Joe Dahleen. I am the committee lead for our California MBA Innovation Committee. And we're here at the conference today at the Western Secondary at the Waldorf Astoria in Monarch Beach, California, Dana Point. So make sure you get down to the beach for you're here, for sure. Again, this is one of our many sessions that we do on a monthly basis. I invite you to come to our sessions and really interact with us. We have probably the highest attendees from all of the California NBA. So make sure you come and meet with us. And also, a special thanks to Accelerate for sponsoring us all year long for our innovation committee. Great guys. Josh, awesome dude. Thank you very much for everything. Okay, today is very interesting, a little bit self-serving today. As you all know, I lead a company called HomeScout. I run strategy for a company called HomeScout, LLC. And we just did a partnership, press release is out today, with my extinguished guests that I have here today from Aidentified. And I want to introduce them both to you. This is Darr, Aley, and Victor Lund, both with Aidentified. You're on the board. Give us a quick little overview and an introduction, if you could, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. My name's Darr, Aley. I am with Aidentified. My twin brother and I started the company about 4 years ago. And it's been an exciting journey, to say the least. But we've been in business, general technology space for about 30 years, but really excited to bring this story together with HomeScout.
And Victor.
Yeah, I'm Victor Lund, and we run a group called Wave Group Ventures, and Aidentified is one of the companies that we placed some equity into, and we're excited to be part of it. They're a very unique company in terms of the way that they allow sales practitioners across many industries, but particularly mortgage and real estate, to really generate a lot more business out of their sphere of influence, and sort of living at that intersection of contacts and connections.
Yeah. So we're going to have an interactive discussion here today, and that's what it's all about. It's interactive. And so we're going to bounce back and forth from a couple topics. But I can tell you this from my experience. The mortgage industry doesn't know much about what AI is. And we're trying to help you demystify that. And one thing that most originators don't understand is that how to use AI to their benefits. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, only because we see the need for speed in this business. And this is what AI does. And people don't understand that about our business. So this will be probably the most enlightening conversation that you'll have at this whole conference. Okay. All right. So interactive strategy. We're going to talk about AI. Listen, how do you handle AI today in this business? Everybody talks about AI. They really don't understand how they can harness it. Could you give us a high-level overview from your perspective on AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, for years and years we've been using modern technology to kind of accumulate and really look at data from a bunch of different perspectives. We use AI to aggregate data, that's out there in the public domain. Mm-hmm. And we do it, as Victor said, to identify relationships for people who are in business trying to increase their sphere of influence. So if you think about LinkedIn and what LinkedIn is doing for people in their own networks, we felt that there was a kind of a next generation of LinkedIn that could be created that really allows anybody in the space to build on their relationships. And the reason we did that was because we felt that there was too many disparate data pieces around the web. What AI does for us right now is aggregates it and organizes it in a much better, more exposed way.
Sure, right. And that's kind of interesting, because the mortgage business, when they think of AI, they think of it as some back room thing, not automatically right here at the point of sale. And you talk about relationships. So Victor, pick up on that. Why is AI and relationships so important?
Sure. So, AI is the process of getting machines to do what humans do.
Right.
In its simplest form. I mean, if you can understand that. So I think as it relates to relationships, one of the things that sales professionals really struggle with is keeping their contact records up to date. So with AI and AI Identified, they sort of marry big data. It's one of these buzzwords you hear about, but there's massive data sets that are available to access using APIs or application programming interfaces, and that's kind of what they do. So if you have a contact record and you want to keep that contact record current, Aidentified will go and match and append that contact record in the event that somebody moves. Their phone number changes, their address changes, their husband or wife change, things that happen in your life. It's very difficult. I think, as a sales professional, you have thousands of contacts, and it's almost impossible to keep those contacts up to date. So AI Identified does that, and that's sort of one of the features that it does. but it does quite a bit more. So match and append is a really important thing to keep information current.
So Victor, take us there now. This AI data and append and match and everything else, this is my data. This is my database and how it affects me, Joe Originator, right?
Yeah.
And it's not something that's kind of a mystery. It's kind of like a sidecar. It sits there and it's always updating your data.
Correct.
So explain how an originator or a realtor uses this data to really solidify their own relationships.
Sure. So, I mentioned APIs or application programming interfaces, and everybody's experienced this. When you download an app on your phone, you can sort of authorize Facebook to connect to that app.
Right.
In the same way, Identified can connect, like Facebook, to your contact records, whether they be on your phone, to contact records on LinkedIn, to contact records that you have in Facebook. And what it does is map all of those relationships.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And what we want to do is combine life events that are going on, whether it's a management change or it's a company that's gone public and the realtor's trying to find more information about that team to build relationships. We can stitch that event together to that company, to the individual, to your sphere of influence. So it's taking all of that disparate data and using a very simple application to show you that relationship path.
Yeah.
It uses AI to do it for you. So
Yes.
once you connect it, it becomes smarter. And one of the great innovations that they've done is, it's always really interesting when you're on LinkedIn and you see something happening and you're like, wow, my friend just switched companies. Can you talk a little bit about how that it takes that information off LinkedIn, which I might not be parked on all day,
Right.
and then brings it to me through email and other notifications?
Yeah, and that's really the enrichment process that Identified tries to help the realtor or mortgage person really figure out how to do it on the fly. So it should think about it as your own research team. So it's doing all of that heavy lifting, that hours and hours of work, of discovery work, and it literally does it in real time. So we work with Zillow, and if you're an office that takes Zillow leads in, you get a first name, last name, and email address. But how long is it going to take me to qualify that person who's interested in the house? We do that in real time for you. So you see, the wealth of that particular person, the household, who that person is married to, if they have a family, what their career has been. All it happens in real time. So that's what's fascinating. And then what ties it together even better is, oh my gosh, I actually have a relationship to this person through a friend I didn't realize I had. So it's discovering those relationships you didn't know you had.
So one of the other things that we were really impressed with Identified is not only the ability to take your sphere of influence, your contacts from multiple sources like LinkedIn, your CRM, Facebook, wherever you have contacts, and map all those relationships, but it allows for team relationship mapping, which I think is really important because, in real estate or in mortgage, you're working with a group, and sometimes as customers come in, you may not know that Darr has a relationship with you, but Identified tells you that. Can you just give us a little deeper detail on that?
Yeah,
please?
I mean, what we discovered, what we all know in this industry, we all have partners that we work with, teams that we work with in our office and other offices, especially with COVID at home, our home office. What we try to do is we have the ability to create this team so that you can connect all of those people in one place and see who they're connected to. So again, back to that LinkedIn kind of notion, but what we're trying to do is get all of your community relationships, all of their community relationships in one single place. We know that the referral business is massive. So you can, if you live here in Newport, you can have your buddy in Boston, your lawyer in Los Angeles, your title person in Del Mar, all see that web of connections that you didn't realize that you had. And what all told, at the end of the day, we're processing about, this is what AI does, 110 billion second-degree connections within the database. Because what we did was we took the US 210 million profiles, we mapped it to careers of 100 million of those people, and then we started going into seeing where are the connections that we didn't know we had. And that was the foundation of why AI was so important to create this in this space.
Yeah, so now HomeScout uses it for enrichment of all leads that come in from the consumers. But now with this notion of teams, let me break it down for the people on the mortgage side. If I had a team and I was leading my branch team with 10 loan officers, I take all of their databases and load it into my team,
Right.
and I save that as a separate database inside of Identified.
Kind of,
right?
you share it.
Yeah, I share
So
it with
you're
them.
not actually giving your contacts to anyone on your team, but you're just saying that AI or the machine can come and look at my contacts.
But think about what
Yeah.
think about what the mortgage guy is doing now, the branch manager. he now is going to evaluate who he's going to hire based upon their database.
That's
Yes.
Do you have a good database?
Oh, yeah.
Because now you're in, because I'm going to add your database to my database, and holy cow, I'm going to see that your dad, who runs that company down in Dana Point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
That's
so-
all of his contacts
Yeah.
now are my contacts.
You bring up a really good point. A lot of people use the platform for recruiting, exactly.
Yeah.
And so they want cultural, fits inside their firm, so they can take a look across the country at everybody that fits the profile for what they're looking for. If you're looking for a hungry salesperson, it's like, all right, who do they really know? They said they know, Larry Ellison and Jeff Bezos, but do they? Are they really connected?
I
to
sailed
those
with him on
people?
his yacht Sayonara. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Well, and this is also good. I mean, in the realty side, does your team, like you typically in the realty side, Victor, you have your team lead and you got 3 or 4 realtors on that team.
Yeah.
Are they kind of cheesy about their database and they don't want to share it?
They don't want to share it at all, but this allows you to connect them without actually transferring data.
I get it.
And it's another miraculous thing that they do that allows you. We have introduced Identified to one of our clients, which is Compass. They're one of the biggest users of Identified, and a Compass real estate. When a Compass gets a lead from their website or any of their direct advertising or whatever, they're able to use Identified to say which of our 20,000 real estate agents across America has a connection to this customer.
Right.
So rather than me sending a cold lead through a jump ball, a random round robin, or whatever lead distribution I have, I can say, geez, Darr knows this person, or his wife knows this person,
Right.
or his daughter knows her mom, sister. And that's the kind of information that Identified gives you in real time. So it's not like you're like pushing it out.
Yeah.
When the lead comes in, it tells you this is the best place for that lead to go. So conversion rates go through the roof.
Right, and it makes lead routing seamless.
Well, you were talking about it. It basically,
But you have to be popular.
basically what AI does for you, Darr, what you were telling me the other day was it eliminates cold calls.
That's it. You don't need to prospect the way that you do
No
today.
more prospecting. That's,
No.
that's what our whole thing's about
That's
here today.
it. Yeah, we should have the.
Well, it's automated prospecting. You better prospect. But we're going to make you prospect faster, smarter, more easily with better conversion rates.
Okay, so do me one more thing, Victor. Let's get this into this again really quick. I'm a team.
Yeah.
And if all my team wants to share their data, I can save that in my one area. But if I have that top producer, the guy who's crushing it, he funds 20 units a month, he's got 4 processors, he's got this whole thing figured out, he's not going to share his database. But with me, because he works for me, I can have my database and his database in an own separate section that we share together.
Well,
and if he ever leaves, he takes it with him.
It's actually not sharing, so we're not pulling the data together. All we're saying is that there's a connection on our team.
That's good.
So, people are not, salespeople are never going to give their contacts up.
Right,
It's a relationship business. The relationship, your data, your contacts, that's your biggest asset as a sales professional. All it does is it says, I'm friends with him, I'm friends with him, I'm friends with her, I'm friends with her. We're on a team.
Yeah.
So like today, if Darr wants to meet somebody I know, he knows through the Identified interface, it'll just say, Victor knows that person.
Or Victor's a first
Year, yeah. So he'll just call me up and say, hey, could you introduce me to Joe?
Right. So the way to think about this AI is we can connect each individual to the 210 million profiles that we have and see what kind of connections you have. So think about that as an assessment. You add the team layer to it, and it gets even more. Keeps getting bigger. It's a sphere of influence, right?
Yeah.
So a great use case was. From lead enrichment to lead routing to success, we had a woman who had, through Zillow, had come in with a house that she was interested in buying in Northern California, Los Gatos. It was a beautiful house. It was a $12 million house. And it came into one of the Compass offices, and our friend there said, we would have thrown that lead away without even bothering to go into Google and LinkedIn.
Because she was some nurse or something,
It was
right?
a nurse, that's right. They found
$12
it was a nurse. And because we did the on-the-fly enrichment, they found out that she was married to a gentleman who was a very significant executive at Apple Computer. And then they said, well, in our team, who might have a connection? They found the guy that had the connection. They called the person up, and they closed the house within 4 days. And it was all because of that AI. It was all
What's the
stitched
commission
together.
on 12 mil?
It's a lot. It's a good one.
It
It's a
just
good one.
happened.
Paid for the software.
Yeah, it just happened in our office. My executive assistant was looking for a home. She was shopping on Zillow. Zillow connected her to a real estate agent at Compass. The Compass real estate agent recognized that she's connected to Robert Refkin, the CEO of Compass. I'm connected to Robert Refkin, the CEO of Compass, and I'm connected to her. So she emails Robert Refkin and says, hey, you know this guy Victor Lund who knows this lead that I just got off Zillow, could you send him a note and introduce me? Which he did. And she didn't buy the house that she requested on Zillow, but she worked with that agent to find another house, and she's now a first-time homeowner.
So great.
But where was the mortgage guy?
No kidding. Right? I mean, the mortgage guy's the last one to find out about
I
all
know.
this. Now, think about that, how that could really change how this dynamic works. I am calling on realtors now because 72% of our business this next year is going to be purchase money. I better get good on
72
purchase.
or higher.
Yeah, 72 or higher, right? And so I better be really strong at purchases. And I've been living off the fat for a while because rates have been historically low. Everybody and their mother's already refinanced. I'm making a buttload.
Yeah.
But I better start thinking about my future, about where I'm going to be next year, right?
Yeah, if you guys don't know these numbers, you've got to know them. 89% of people in America today have a loan below 5%. 36 have a loan today below 3.5.
Right.
So like your refinance business, unless it's like weird, is not going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years.
And you can't make money off of HELOCs too many.
You sure
of the
you
IMBs.
can't. But think about the notion, you know, a lot of the way that mortgage companies are going to grow their business this year and for the next foreseeable future is their relationships with real estate agents, as well as cultivating their own, leads within their own databases by staying more connected to them.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about how you do those two things? Because we talked about relationship teaming. So now you can not only like create a team within your mortgage group, but you can also invite the realtors into that team.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of
that's
work.
important.
Yeah,
Darr.
talk about that a little bit. And
Yeah,
then,
it's all about the creating of those teams. So when you don't have to just create one team, you can create multiple teams, and it depends on the office you are at. But inviting in those people is a super powerful way to expand those networks. And again, we're bringing those people in through. You can do that on your own. You can go into the database and say, I know that person. I don't have to invite him in, but I want to add him to my network anyway. So it's this kind of passive way that allows you to build that network. I was also going to say, a big part of what we do here is help the mortgage industry really follow the ball, really follow their clients. And I think we all do a really terrible job.
Yes. 19%?
People,
19% is you'll come back and do a long
your
with it.
repeat business is 19%. Yeah.
And so you can't drop the ball. We do a lot of work in private wealth too, and the number one problem of people leaving their financial analyst is when they don't know that their client has had an event. Whether it's a simple stock trade or they sold their company.
Yeah.
So what we do is we know that 25% of the U.S. change jobs once a year. You need to know that. So we've set up a mechanism that allows you to monitor that, and we'll send you out an email alert that says, hey, the client that you gave a mortgage to 2 years ago just got an upgrade to senior vice president. You should give him a call, send him a bottle of champagne, whatever, but make him know that you are aware of what's going on, on your
a friend of
your
mine just raised
client
$70 million for one of his companies. I've lost contact with him and everything else, but in my email this morning from Identified was, bam, right there, $70 million.
Yeah.
And I said to my friend, George, George, did you know that he raised $70 million? He goes, oh yeah, I read it yesterday in some blog. I was like, BS, you didn't know.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit
Yeah.
because another really exciting application that's been developed by Identified is a Google Chrome plugin. So this is
the Sidecar, yeah.
Yeah, it's a compliant plugin, so your compliance manager and security managers aren't going to be freaked out about it. If you know what a Google Chrome plugin is, you just add it, and then you log into your Identified account. And then can you talk about what that allows you to do?
Oh
Darr?
yeah, man. We call it a sidecar because that's what it is.
That is
right?
it, baby.
And we know people hate to use software. We do too. So we're like, all right, how do we make this digestible so people can use it the way they use the web every day? They check email. So to Joe's point, we set up this email alert notification system, which will send you every morning, what happened in your industry, what happened to your client teams. The second thing we did was we recognized that people don't really want to jump into software and do searching. It's probably 5% of the people that use our software do deep prospecting, which we also do. So we built this sidecar, which basically attaches to your Chrome browser and lets you go around the web. And when you're searching for somebody on the web, or you're searching for a company on the web to get deeper, this shows you in the sidecar everything about that person, down to the income and wealth and family, title, career, all in a pop-up screen on your right screen. So it takes all of the research and time you would have taken going across the web and pops it right up in your window. Most importantly, it shows you if you have a relationship to any of those people.
Right.
So we had a company, UiPath, that went public in San Francisco. And I went in there to see, well, I don't know anybody at UiPath, but actually I had 53 connections to that company that I was unaware of. And I started kind of picking up the phone, right?
We're demystifying really what AI is for these originators and the mortgage folks. I know that realty has got on it very big and early, but once I think our teams and the mortgage teams discover the power that Identified gives me, I mean, it's kind of like a whole new way of doing business. I'm thinking it's going to revolutionize the way that mortgage people really prospect and deliver high quality content. Because I know that a transaction just happened, I got to work my way around it because I know that he had this life event, something's going to change, right? And I got to be there.
Yeah.
One of the things that is sort of a very new science within the real estate industry and the mortgage industry is called customer experience management.
Yeah.
So like right now, I mean, we all know what CRM is.
Right.
Right. And all CRM does is it just pushes junk to your customer without ever knowing where their headspace is or what they're doing. But customer experience management uses triggers based upon big data events.
Yeah.
So if you sell a company, if you get divorced, these are public records. This is part of big data. Identified absorbs that information and says, hey, I've got to tell Darr that his client just got a divorce. What happens in a divorce? The home gets sold and there's 2 new mortgages.
That's right.
Wouldn't you like to know if somebody in your database is about to get 2 new mortgages?
Yeah. I mean, sellers are buyers, right? I mean,
that's right.
If you could get the seller first, you'd be stoked. Now,
Precisely.
But what you're saying is that the originator needs to be top of mind with this relationship because now they just saw that this event happened, and now you need to strike.
Yeah.
We don't call up the client and say, hey, by the way, just saw you got a divorce. No, that's not how you do it.
No,
right?
you call them up and say, how are you doing? I haven't talked to you in a while. And it's like, oh, dude, I got to tell you, my wife and I are getting a divorce. It's like, how can I help you?
Right.
Yeah.
How can I help you? And you know that you have to make that call to that past client. And you know that you're the person that they're going to use to be, for help because you reached out in their time of need.
Right.
So unlike your CRM that's sending them some stupid thing about today's rates, it's going to actually allow you to connect real, sincere connections in a timely and intuitive fashion and do it in a way that's, we know what's actually happening in the background with the data, but the client doesn't know. So another really important thing that we're really stoked about your company is your approach to privacy. I mean, I think as everybody hears this story about how data is being used to kind of watch all of these people and all of these connections, you begin to think, well, that's kind of spooky. Can you talk a little bit about privacy?
Yeah, and it should have been the first thing we talked about because it's always top of mind, that spooky nature of data. And so it's really important when we started to build the company that we start with that layer of privacy and security. There's a California Consumer Protection Act, which we follow to the note, and then it comes with a lot of data security. So special acronyms like SOC 2 compliant, and we had to go through all of that because some of our larger clients, including Compass, are Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley.
And your partners like HomeScout.
And HomeScout all
We're SOC 2.
care deeply about this data. And it's important to note that everything we're doing, you can do out in the open web. You can, we're just making it easier. We're doing the work so you don't have to.
Yeah. And that gets back to what AI is. AI, remember, is machines doing what humans normally
learning,
do.
right?
So. All of you as salespeople, if you've encountered a person, whether it's on their business card or you've read about them in an article, you highlight their name and you Google search them, you connect with them on Facebook, you connect with them on LinkedIn. Identified helps you do all of that in an automated fashion.
Well, and if you got a John Smith at IBM, there's a lot of John Smiths that work at IBM, right? So is this the right one that I just Googled or not? I don't know.
Right.
So what we do is we try to demystify that and get right down to, that's the right John Smith.
It's John. He has 3 kids. They're all 20. Yeah. He's actually got a lot of equity in his home. What do you think he's going to do next?
Yeah. I mean, it's really about learning about the household. Who's in that household? What are the brands for the companies of the people in the house that work there? Is it, a single person? Is it a married couple that both work? Where do they work? What are their relationships? How
Is
do
it
I
multi-generational? Maybe they have the guest house with the elderly parents.
Yeah, so I live up in Marin, and we have two people from Google that ended up living on our street, and it's because we all want our friends around us to live by us, right? And they both have young kids, so it was a total no-brainer. Okay, well, if I'm a broker originator, I'm going to see who else is at Google that the guy knows, because they're going to come fishing around that community, right?
Sure. That's awesome.
So
You can use that for second homes. You can use that for vacation properties.
Yeah. We call it corporate clustering. We have a lake in New Hampshire.
Corporate clustering.
Yeah. It's Lake Winnipesaukee, and Boston Consulting Group, the CEO went up, he bought a house there, and then all of a sudden 23 other guys, or women and men, were starting to buy homes around him because they wanted to be there. Salesforce does this.
Prairie Home Companion.
Sure, right.
Like Mark Benioff's in Hawaii, a lot of Salesforce executives went and bought property out there too.
Isn't all of California either they're in Texas or Idaho?
That's right, they're all moving, right? So, that's another really important point for Compass. That was, Tesla announced they were moving to Texas. So Compass got all over the sellers, right? Because that's all
They're buyers, right?
Yeah, yep. And the guys down at Dallas had the catching mitt out at Compass saying, hey, come on, so it was a great referral business for both of them.
It was, just outstanding. So there's been, a rather large, significant number of companies moving out of California, out of New York, and one of the things that Identified does is it helps you with that referral business, which allows you to capture quite a bit more business. Yeah. Obviously, it's pretty significant, but one of the things that we talked about last night at dinner was repeat and referral business. And you mentioned to me that the numbers in mortgage are pretty similar to the numbers in real estate, where, most mortgage professionals will tell you that 80% of their business comes from repeat and referral business, but that's only out of the 20% of their network that they're leveraging. 80% is completely untouched. So imagine if you were to use Identified to harvest business opportunities from that 80% of past clients in a way that seems natural and that's triggered by events in your life. Don't you think that would improve your business?
Oh, yeah. Well, it'd make it so much easier for prospecting, for sure.
Well, the time savings alone, right?
Yeah.
If we can save that and get you where you should be, which is out in the field, meeting clients, shaking hands, playing golf, whatever it is that is your special gift to bringing new people in, that's what you should be doing, not behind your desk.
Or doing webinars and seminars like I do.
Exactly, exciting webinars. That's it.
So people, watching this today are going to want to learn more about Identified. They're going to, they want to see like videos on how Identified works. They're going to want to try it out. They're going to want to talk to somebody there. Can you tell us a little bit about how that could happen? Because if they're interested, first of all, let's talk about the name. How is it spelled?
Yeah. So it's AI. And Identified. So it's just Identified. We put an A in front of it.
But it's silent, right?
It's silent, so it's just Identified. And we joke because it was cheaper URL than Identified without the A. But the emphasis on AI at the beginning was the real reason to do it. So you can learn about it on our website. HomeScout, it's going to be fully integrated on the enrichment piece of this for starters.
Yeah.
And it's a really exciting way. We've got a lot of partners like Salesforce and other CRM companies that are ingesting it. But if you want to grab a seat, you can come in, get a 30-day free trial, and just start using it,
And so you go to aidentified.com.
Yes. Or you go to HomeScout.
Or you go to HomeScout.
And the mortgage side, we're going to roll this out for the mortgage piece.
Yes. Right.
Because we're the professionals on the mortgage side. So we did a partnership, and the press release is out today on our partnership. So we're going to be the mortgage arm for Identified.
That's right.
And
a very contextual piece of HomeScout. So it's going to be fantastic.
It's kind of unique on our side a little bit.
Yeah.
And frankly, we're going to need to teach these folks how to do it. Yeah. Right? This is something new. It's going to be enlightening to them when they see it, because they're like, "What?" Right? Because like me, I was blown away. Right?
So mortgage business leaders should reach out to you?
Reach out to us at HomeScout.
Okay, and you guys will give them a demo.
You'll
show how it
Jump
works.
on the free trial. We have a nice little metered thing for them. We launched it for every lead that comes in through HomeScout. We're enriching those leads today. And then now we have an enterprise edition where they come in and use the sidecar that you talked about.
And tell me what is enrichment again? We've used that term, but let's define that term, because I think that's really important.
Yeah, so it's really, you when you get a lead, you don't know anything about the person. You get the first name, last name, and email address, and you don't know where they work. You don't know if they work. You don't know if they're married or not. So what we're doing through HomeScout is those leads are coming inbound. whether it's you can upload your cold prospects too, or you just you leverage the leads that HomeScout's providing, and then we'll give you up to about 150 attributes about that individual.
What's an
and that
attribute?
house. So sorry, an attribute would be,
Buzzword,
your
guys.
age, your title, where you live, if you're married. Those are
How many
kind of
kids you have.
attributes.
How much you make? Like wealth category?
Yeah, there's a
so
wealth-
do they make
there's-
between 250 and 500,000,
Yeah,
500
that's
and whatever?
Good question. So it comes
Yeah.
in with income and wealth. So we use AI to predict what that looks like in
I mean,
the
what
household.
what we're doing with it is that we not only enrich the lead, but we actually are now backfilling the 1003 with it. So the application is being pre-filled already in seconds. So not only are we enriching the lead, we're filling in the application. It's taking the step out of never ask a question that you already know the answer to. I already know your address, and I already know what your property taxes are. I don't need to ask you. It's public data.
That's right.
That is
That's
such
right.
a point of frustration. It bothers me so much. I'm a Bank of America customer, and I want to open a new account, and they have
Start
me fill
over.
out a form. And I'm like, I have 9 accounts with you. That's your job,
Right.
not my job.
Yeah.
My insurance company does the same thing. They send me a blank renewal application every year, and I'm like, listen, I'll send you my P&L and I'll send you my balance sheet. You fill it out with the information you have. Send it back to me to sign. It's not my job.
Right.
And I think mortgage really needs to pick up on that. And the automation that you guys have leveraged with the partnership with Identified is really remarkable. And I really encourage all of you to reach out and
Yeah, I think
really
that's-
see it work. I mean,
think
that's
the
the
secret
magic.
sauce for us.
Yeah.
It's not just the identified data; it's also all evaluation data. If you have a street address, we bring in enhanced, enriched data for AVMs and really what we use in the mortgage business is actually fund loans. In many cases, we got to fund these loans without an appraisal today because we got to close on time, right?
That's right.
So I mean, like I told you last night, I had the Hawaii loan. He got the max conforming amount in Hawaii. And he didn't need it. He could have paid cash for the house for $4 million, but he wanted $1 million mortgage. So we gave it to him, but there was 6 weeks to get the appraisal. So we went and funded we had to fund it. And then we waited another 6 weeks to get the appraisal before we sold it to Fannie.
Yeah.
Man, so it's
Too much time. Yeah.
Too much time.
Yeah.
So thanks very much, everyone. I know this has been a
Thank you.
great day here, and it's just amazing guests. And that's what you get at the Mortgage Innovation Committee. We have our sessions every month, and so you should definitely partake and sign up. It's free for you. And you're going to see this type of quality content every single time when you come to our Innovation Committee. So that's been great. Thank you, Darr. Thank you, Victor. These are you're not going to get this at any show here today,
Cheers.
right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
very much.
We get to shake hands. It's amazing.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Take care,
See you
everybody.
next time.